Hey, are you experiencing a lot of unwanted emotions, or even what you might consider an influx of sort of confusing emotions that don't even necessarily seem to have a source that's logical? You might be getting triggered right now to release some old patterning. And I did a video on this the other day. But I'm feeling called to talk about it even more because of how intense it is. Even days now, we're days outside, I'm sorry, hair in the face. We're days outside of the new moon now. So to me, this doesn't feel new moon specific. This feels like this really big transition. It's like a push is what I heard. This big push to the finish line. And it's like, so in the metaphor of an actual marathon, I'm figuring out the metaphor as I talk here. It's almost like you're so close to the end that you need to shift into a new gear though, just to get to the finish line because you're so, right? Taxed or drained, exhausted, just overwhelmed. And so I think the metaphor here is about this being almost like a turbo boost of healing. So it might feel a little bit or a lot overwhelming. You might feel, I spent yesterday morning and the morning before that, having been triggered by some conversation, crying my eyes out for, an hour or two. And so, I didn't resist it because I recognize this is the path, right? A lot of us already know this. The path is through the triggers. You get triggered for a reason. It's an opportunity to grow, to face something that's holding you back. And so those of us who are already really knee deep on this journey, I know that you know that. And so just try to keep that in mind as things come up. And it might not be a person that triggers you. Most likely it is, but it also could be, it could be anything, honestly. Right now, the energy is so intense that you could be getting triggered by something that doesn't make any logical sense at all, like a dream. You know what I mean? And the dream is, if you try to describe it to someone, they're just like, what's the big deal? But you're in tears over it, and don't worry about explaining yourself to anyone. First of all, I just want to say, give yourself permission to just feel the emotion and release it, whatever it is, with compassion for yourself as you do it. And know that this is part of the process. You are purging the old emotions because the old grief emotions, they can't come with you. And especially if you've experienced a lot of trauma, these are emotions that have been stored in your body for a really long time. And they need to be let go and released right now in order for this last push, so don't worry about, I can feel a collective energy of almost like, oh my God, what is happening? I thought we were done with this. But your guides really want you to know this isn't you going back. This is you pushing past it all. It's kind of like, okay, I don't know who's familiar with that game, Red Rover, but we played it when I was a little kid. It's like a line of kids and a line of kids in front of them, and you say some weird words. Anyway, one of them runs over and tries to break through this chain of humans. It's almost like that. Like you're trying to get that last push through, and it's like taking a lot more, it's challenging you a lot more than maybe you thought it would. It's definitely challenging me more than I thought it would, because most of us feel like that darkness is behind us. There's this feeling of like dread of like, oh my God, I thought the worst was behind you. It is. It so is. You just have this last push, And so for anyone who's given birth, I haven't personally, but my sister did recently, right? It's like, there's this sense of I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to be able to do it. But that's usually when you're right about to birth something either into being or an actual human if you're going back to the birth metaphor. But just know that it's part of the process. And the feeling of defeat is what kind of ricochets you back out. It's almost like a rubber band. The farther you pull it back, the farther it's going to fly. So you're being stretched right now. You're being stretched. You're being challenged. And it's a test, but it's also mostly to purge you of these old emotions that you've been holding on to, that are holding you back. And if you're wondering why you're not bursting into the new world yet, this is the last push before that. So don't hold back your emotions right now. Don't resist purging them, because this is a unique opportunity, and it's going to, the farther back you get stretched, the farther you're going to fly. So just breathe. No, you're not alone. A lot of us are experiencing this together right now, and you're almost there. Love and courage for the journey, man. Keep going.